We rejoice in your presence. We come. We say we have been trembling in fear and honor and respect. We love you. And we declare you our way, our truth, and our life. And every roadblock and every hindrance right now, in the name of Jesus, is fleeing our hearts and leaving this place and going out to dry and arid places, causing harm to no one on the way. And in this place, receive your peace and your joy. Receive your fruit, comfort. We receive the power to overcome every roadblock and every obstacle, whether there are a thorny cliff or a slippery path. We declare that you are our way, our truth, and the life. And all God's people said, amen, amen. Give somebody by your side a hug. God is good all the time. Amen, amen, amen. As you sit down, tell your neighbor, what's your roadblock?
What's your roadblock?
What's your roadblock? If you're awake, say it like you mean it. What's your roadblock?
What's your roadblock?
Amen. God is good. Besides chocolate, yes. Chocolate can be an awesome roadblock. The key to teachability, the key to life. Have you ever heard that chefs do this? Like they say, they got the key ingredient, right? And if you act now and you buy into my recipe, if you come and do it my way, I'll give you the key to success. I'll give you the key to everything. I have a special key today. It's a key to remind us why on earth we're here. What is it about? What is the key to everything? Wouldn't it be easy if we had a one-step teaching from God that will allow you to be successful? In Proverbs, the Bible says, if you seek righteousness and love, it says a wise man who seeks righteousness and love finds three things. They find life, prosperity, and honor. So what are you seeking today? Or better yet, what is your roadblock to the key of success in your life? What's your hindrance? What is it that's keeping you from your destination? Have you ever encountered a roadblock on the highway and you have to take a detour? You are intended to go to a certain place. You had a schedule and a time, and every roadblock takes longer to go around. Every time you encounter a roadblock, you have to make a decision. Do I listen to the signs right in front of me? Or do I just keep going and avoid the signals and the signs and the things that God's put in place and fall off into a deep, dark, distant place? That's what you got to ask yourself. What is the key to everything? Why are some people more successful than the others? Why does some men and women in the Bible accomplish much? And it comes down to one key. It comes down to a teachable heart. Ask your neighbor, is your heart teachable?
Is your heart teachable?
Teachability is probably not even a word, but I'm going to make it up today. All right? That you will be teachable. That you'll learn why we need to be teachable, because it's the key to everything. It's the key to your success. If you look at Matthew 11:28, it says, all ye who are weary, come to me, and I'll give you rest, it says. Right? And then he goes on to say, and learn from me. I said, learn what? The key to everything. If you're weary, come to Jesus and learn how he encountered the dark grave. If you're tired and you need rest, learn from Jesus. He napped on the boat during the storms, because he knew when to be awake and when to be asleep. And we as humans are sleeping when we need to be awake, or awake when we need to be sleeping. He encountered his disciples. He said, can you stay awake, stay alert? I got a heaviness, a burden approaching. Can you just stay awake? And 3 times he comes to them and they're asleep, not awake. And yet when they're in the storms of their life, wondering where Jesus was, they go and find him asleep in peace, Because he knew who his father was. And if you knew who his father was, you knew who Jesus was. So today I want to remind you, pursue your relationship of Abba Father. And then you'll find Jesus. And you'll see his meaning. And you'll see what is going on. So before we learn how to be teachable, we have to understand some roadblocks, some hindrances that keep us from having a teachable heart. Turn to 1 Samuel 14. It'll be up on the screen if you don't have your Bibles. We're going to learn about Jonathan and his armor bearer and how he had a teachable mindset. It says this, and one day, Jonathan, son of Saul, said to his young armor bearer, "Hey, come, let's go over to the Philistine outpost on the other side." Everybody say other side.
Other side.
But he didn't tell his father. Saul was staying on the outskirts of Gibeah under a pomegranate tree in Migron. With him were about 600 men, among whom was Ahiah, who was wearing an ephod. He was the son of Ichabod's brother, Atub, son of Phinehas, the son of Eli, the Lord's priest in Shiloh. No one was aware that Jonathan had left. So you have the king, the leader, under the shade of a tree with 600 soldiers. Sounds like he was asleep. And he should have been awake. And then Jonathan and his armor bearer said, let's go see what our enemy's up to. Let's go encounter them and let's see if we can defeat them because they are just driving me crazy. And until you get into that understanding that the enemy is trying to drive you crazy to a point where he wants to kill, steal, destroy your purpose, you will not pursue God. You'll pursue the rest and the shade tree and the enjoyment of 600 people saying, it's going to be okay. It's okay to be scared right now. It's okay not to confront your fears and your enemies. Let's go on in verse 4. On each side of the pass that Jonathan intended to cross to reach the Philistine outpost was a cliff. One was called Boaz and the other Seneh. One cliff stood to the north towards Michmash, the other towards the south towards Geba. Jonathan said to his young armor bearer, come, let's go over to the outpost of those uncircumcised men. Perhaps. Everybody say perhaps.
Perhaps.
The Lord will act in our behalf. Nothing can hinder the Lord from saving, whether by many or by few. Do all that you have in mind, his armor bearer said. Go ahead. I am with you, heart and soul. Sounds like Jonathan and David last week. One in heart and soul. One in purpose. Jonathan said, come then, we will cross over toward them and let them see us. If they say to us, wait there until we come to you, we will stay where we are and not go up to them. But if they say, come to us, we will climb up, because that will be our sign that the Lord has given them into our hands. So both of the men showed themselves to the Philistine outpost. Look, said the Philistines, the Hebrews are crawling out of the holes they were hiding in. The men of the outpost shouted to Jonathan and his armor bearer, come up to us and we will teach you a lesson. So Jonathan said to his armor bearer, climb up after me. The Lord has given them into the hand of Israel. Jonathan climbed up using his hands and feet. In other words, he didn't have a weapon in his hands. It was a hard terrain. With his armor bearer right behind him, the Philistines fell before Jonathan, and his armor bearer followed and killed behind him. In that first attack, Jonathan and his armor bearer killed some 20 men in an area about half an acre. Amen. What can I learn about teachability in this encounter? And you got to realize that the Philistine army is tormenting the people of God. They did it with Goliath. They did it, and they continue to torment them. And instead of Saul going and facing his enemy, he's taking a nap. He's under a shade tree with 600 men who are scared and doing what their leader is doing. And then one leader, Jonathan, says to his armor bearer, hey, let's go see our enemy, and perhaps God will help us. With few, God gets more glory. But with many, he doesn't. That's why when Gideon went to face his enemy, God said, no, too many men. 300 went to face thousands. And then you have two teachable hearts here. They say, perhaps God will help us with many or with few. Let's just go see what God will do. He's at a roadblock. He's at a place, he's at a cliff where if you understand the literary meaning of one cliff called Boaz and the other Senna, the Boaz side was slippery. In other words, rough terrain. It wasn't an easy climb. And the other side that he could go around was Senna, which is thorny. So he either had to go on slippery terrain, which can be a roadblock, or he had to go on the terrain of thorns. So every time he would climb, he would get cut, or he would reach in to climb and his hands would get hurt by the thorns. Either road he chose to go on was difficult. But he went and he said, let's show ourselves, and our sign will be for them to tell them to come up to us. You know, your enemy today is telling you to come up. The enemy is saying, I want you to come up and see if you could defeat me. I wonder perhaps if you'll just have a little faith to get past your roadblocks of teachability and see what God could do. See what God could do. The first roadblock of teachability is pride. And there's some assumptions when you start thinking about pride, and you're like, I'm not prideful. Right there, you need to maybe check your heart. There's no pride in me. I'm just better than everybody. Right? And there's some presumptions that you got to understand that if you're constantly hitting that roadblock of pride, then you probably got to ask yourself if you have these kind of questions going on in your mind. Like, the rules don't apply to me. Like, do as I say and not as I do. You ever hear that one? All the time I heard that growing up. Don't do what I do, just do what I say. Okay. The other presumption is my position of authority entitles me to do whatever I want. I'm King Saul. If I want a nap, I want a nap. I'm going to go hang out in the shade of my comfort and my little zone of security with 600 men, and I'm just hot and tired, and I don't want to go face my enemy today. So my position says I can do whatever I want. That's when you know you have a roadblock to pride. The third presumption is I don't need anyone's advice or help. So whenever you're going through a roadblock of life and you're asking yourself, why is it so difficult? It's probably because of pride. I don't need people's advice. I don't need their help. Really? The Bible says, surround yourself with wise counsel. The fourth presumption is, I'm going to go ahead with the good instead of waiting on the best. I don't see anything wrong with this decision. It may not be the best decision, but I'm going to do it anyways. That's a roadblock of pride. John Maxwell says this, pride deafens us to the advice and warning of those around us. The reason the government sometimes put roadblocks in the street is because it's danger to proceed ahead. And we get frustrated because the traffic starts building up. And we have to go a longer route. We have to take a detour, and it's for our safety. And we get mad at them. And God puts warning signs And he puts signals of maybe the moon and the stars, maybe signs of his glorious, maybe earthquakes and fires, and maybe even difficulties and tragedies, is to guide us and to lead us. Job said it so well. He said, my ears have heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you. And that's what a teachable heart is. Teachability is to say, man, I thought I knew it all, but I haven't even scratched the surface. I don't want pride to hinder me. You know what cost Saul his kingdom? Pride. He couldn't wait for the prophet to show up and do what he said he was going to do. And the moment he decided to do something good, which was build an altar really for himself, but he said it was to build it for God, the moment he decided to do something good, the best came, the prophet came with the blessing of God. Just a one moment short. If he were to just waited till he got around the corner. But he couldn't wait because of his pride, because of who he was. It's a roadblock. Moses had to deal with the same encounter. Jethro in Exodus 18 goes and sees Moses judging all the people of Israel. Night and day they would come and they bring all these hard cases to him for him to judge. You can read it later this week, Exodus 18. And Jethro comes to him and says, what are you doing? It's like, I got an important task. I gotta solve all these problems for these people. He's like, you are exhausted. You're gonna wear yourself out. Why don't you appoint leaders to handle at least the little issues? So where are you letting pride keep you from God's best in your life? Write that question down. Where are you letting pride keep you from God's best in your life? That's a roadblock of pride. When you got all the answers. When someone comes with some little bit of advice, you're like, I got this. I'm good. It's okay. And check your heart. Because pride is the beginning of every man and woman's fall. The second roadblock is of fear. Playing it safe where your dreams are concerned. You're playing it safe. You know where the safest place a boat is? At the dock, at the harbor. When it's safely secured at the harbor, that's its safest place. But what was a boat designed to do? Be out in the ocean. It wasn't designed to stay at the harbor in safety. It was designed to go tread through storms and waters and distance, and it had a purpose of a destination of accomplishing things that you couldn't do without its vessel. You couldn't go on a little raft. You needed a boat, a big ship. But the safest place is a harbor. And that's kind of like what fear is. You were created for destiny. You were created with a purpose, but we rather let fear keep us safely in the harbors of our lives. The roadblock of fear can keep you in the land of familiar and be predicting instead of living and moving forward, expecting great things to happen. How many times was Paul shipwrecked? How many times was he in the open sea just floating? 1 Corinthians 11 gives his resume of how many times he went hungry, how many times he went naked, how many times he was shipwrecked, how many times he was beaten for the gospel. But he wasn't securely set in this land of familiar because he didn't have a roadblock of fear. And fear of rejection can be a roadblock. Fear of losing control. Losing control. Not giving in a way, you're holding on. That person that controls and micromanages every decision that you make or you allow someone else to make. That's a roadblock of fear. Henry Cloud says this, great leaders do the opposite of exercising control over others. Instead of taking control, they give it away. You want to have a teachable heart, a teachable spirit, then give away control. Don't let fear be a roadblock in your life. What about the fear of criticism? Any critics? Right? We see something and we're like, the first thing we do, we start criticizing. We look at their outfit, we're like, somebody needs to go to school of matching. Or go to Vivi's closet and she can help you match and coordinate. She does it for me, thank God. Right? But critics, we're critics of everything. They didn't say it right, they didn't talk right, they didn't look right. And that's just a fear mechanism. That's a roadblock of teachability. When you're critical about everybody else, it's because you don't want to focus on you. You know, when you point your finger at someone, you got 3 others pointing right back at you. Fear of criticism, fear of losing control, fear of rejection. How about the fear of change and the unknown? We don't like to change. I'm a loyal person. It's in my nature. So if you make a good product like Adidas shoes, I'll buy that same shoe over and over and over and over. Change in the unknown is difficult for most of us to embrace, and that's a hindrance to our teachability. It's a roadblock. Another roadblock in fear is fear of greater responsibility. Well, if I learn more, I'm going to be responsible for more, and I'm not going to get paid anymore, so why learn? So teachable, harden of heart. You want to do the least amount of effort possible. Now, how about you be like Joseph, who did the best way? And every time he did it the best way, even as a slave, he became in charge of his master's household. And even when he was falsely accused and in the dungeon, thrown in prison, guess what? He did his best. He didn't like, oh, God is so horrible and put me in this dungeon. No, he served. He was happy. Something about his teachable heart landed him to be in charge of his own prison. In other words, he had the keys to go in and out. He could say, I'm out of here, going back home to my land of familiar. No, he was in charge of it because he had a teachable heart. And then when he got from the prison to the palace, he was still learning. He was still teaching. He had to learn about forgiveness. He had to forgive the ones that tried to kill him and sold him into slavery, his own family, so that God's will could be accomplished. Fear will keep you in your harbor. Fear will keep you in your harbor. So which fear is tripping you up? Which fear is blocking you from a teachable spirit? Is it rejection, control, criticism, change, or the unknown? A greater responsibility? Moving forward is far more important than living another day anchored in the harbor of fear. You hear me? Moving forward is far more important than focus on your past and staying in your little harbor of safety. Step out on the waters of faith. Well, you used to do it. God never does it the same way every time. But he's always present, always powerful, always ready to heal and bring his miraculous signs and wonders. It's up to your teachable heart. The third roadblock is the roadblock of insecurity. You see, when Jethro visited Moses, Moses was the man of the hour. He had the answers to everything. He liked the spotlight. Everybody got to come to me to resolve their issues. And his insecurities were hindering what God wanted to do. He would give advice, but he had to learn to give up control and empower people and give other leaders their place to judge. But we hold on to insecurities and we can't get to the next level because we're so insecure of who we are. And we let the enemy bring up all our imperfections and all our insecurities, and then we start saying, I don't know how to speak in front of my peers. I stutter. Send me with somebody, like give me Aaron to be your voice. I'll go and confront Pharaoh, but I need someone that can speak better than me. He was insecure because he murdered somebody. He was insecure because he wasn't born and he was adopted by Pharaoh's daughter. He wasn't even really prince. He was this fake prince. He had all these insecurities. Where's my mom, my dad? They weren't there when I was growing up. What's going on? And he had to face his insecurities. Once he selected 12 other leaders to let them judge the little things, and then when there were big things, he was like the Supreme Court we have today. Right, we got a lot of little judges judging the DUIs and the thefts and all those things, but when it comes to a law, they take it to the highest manpower, the Supreme Court. He had to get past his insecurities. He had to say, man, there's other people that can do it better than me. He had to listen to advice from his father-in-law. And because he was teachable and because he had that, God accomplished great things in it through his life. The roadblock and insecurities. You got to ask yourself, what insecurity is keeping me from being teachable? You afraid you might learn something? You afraid you might have to change something? You afraid that you don't like what you're going to hear, so you're just going to go la, 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 la. You can do that for a while for God. Ask Jonah. He's like, la, la, Nineveh, no, they don't deserve your praise, la, la. You walk around going, no, I don't hear you guys, no, I'm doing my own thing. Go to another place, but Nineveh. You can do that for a while. But God will send provision, and correction, and training and teaching through his breath. That's how powerful his word is. His breath. 2 Timothy 3:16 says, is for rebuking, for training, for correction, for teachability. And you want to be successful in life. I think you have these roadblocks of pride, and you have these roadblocks of fear, and you have these roadblocks of insecurities, and until you get off the throne of your life and put Jesus on the throne of your heart, go to him and learn from him. Come, Jesus says, learn from me. Learn from me. The fourth roadblock is the roadblock of pain. We don't like pain. Pain comes when you least expect it or want it. For some reason, Thursday, my arm started hurting, and by Friday, I could hardly move it or lift it, and it was painful. And I'm like, someone hit me? Did I run into a wall? Did I fall down in the middle of the night in my dream? Or did my wife hit me when I was sleeping? I was like, I didn't do anything. It's just a pain. Then I got a sling, which some people would call a hindrance or a roadblock, and I put my arm in it and I gave it the rest it needed, and apparently I just slept under it. Now it's great. Lift, move, no pain. But it took a little bit of pain and me slowing down and protecting what was hurting to recover. That's what pain is. Pain should be embraced, not pushed away. But when we're going through pain, we're like, why me, God? How come they won the lottery and I didn't? How come I gotta go to work and they don't? How come I'm sick? How come I'm handicapped? How come I'm not smart enough? Instead of embracing pain and learning from your pain and others' pain, we push it away. God brings discipline in your life for a season. And he says it's never pleasant. I don't know, many of you would remember to say, please spank me, Mom and Dad. I love it. I mean, at our house, since my father was a principal, and back in the day when we could get whoopings, we got them at school. All right? And he had this paddle with 9 holes in it. And you could hear the, and you could hear the, so you had the knowledge of the pain coming you're about to receive. And what was so worse is that my mom would never spank us. She was like, go to your room until your dad gets home. We're like, no, Mom, please. We'll do anything. We'll be good. We promise. Go to your room. And then we got creative. So we used to stuff socks or put multiple clothes on. And then my dad got even more creative and be like, let's see the bare cheeks. And all you hear was the or I grew up with a grandma who, if you were disobedient, I wasn't around her a lot, but the times I were around her when I misbehaved, she was like, go pick a switch. Pick a switch? You mean the light switch? Which one do you want me to turn on? No, go outside and pick a switch because you're going to get a whooping. And we were creative. And we go out and get the smallest switch and the one that was likely to break first, the dried up switch. And she'd go out and pick a green switch, a little long, and that sucker hurt. But I needed it to act right, to honor right, to respect right. A lot of us spiritually need a whooping this morning. We need the Holy Spirit to come down and go, whoosh. Stop doing that. Stop resisting the pain that I put before you. Embrace it. I don't think Paul liked to be shipwrecked. I don't think he liked 39 lashes minus 1. Remember back then when they lashed you, they had glass and nails and razors, and it would take flesh off you every time. So 39, the only reason they didn't do 40, because 40 normally killed you. They figured it out. 40, oh, dead. Such a shame. I want them to suffer. Let's try 38. No, not 30. 39 is the number. Three times he endured that pain. Actually, he said, I got this pain, this thorn in my flesh. Can you take it away from me, God? So my grace is sufficient. Embrace the pain. Learn from it. That's why parents or other people in your life, they come and try to teach you something because they don't want you to encounter the pain, because they already encountered the pain. Learn from other people's failures and mistakes. That's why most parents come to you like, I did this, I did that. You don't do it, so smack. To protect you. It's a roadblock to keep you safe and secure. The roadblock of pain is that we should deal with it and not try to go around it, but face it. So ask yourself this morning, where is there pain in my past that I haven't dealt with that's threatening my future? Because we get hurt and we stuff it. We put in this nice little compartment like, I'm okay. If someone hurt you, the Bible says, Matthew 18, you should go and tell them. Not say it on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, but go to that person in private and say, you know, your words hurt me. We'd have a lot of less drama, a lot of less complications in our life if we would do Matthew 18 more often. We say, hey, I don't like how you're acting. Let's change. And if that person doesn't change, then the Bible says, take another person with you. And then if they don't change, bring them before the church. Where I grew up in South America, there was discipline in the church. Like if you got caught doing something, they bring you in front of the church and say, share with the church. I mean, after you went by yourself, after you took a witness, of course. You know, the problem with our school system is they don't get smacked anymore. They don't have the nun ruler on the hand. They don't have the discipline. Parents are afraid to discipline their children now because they might be arrested. But discipline was set as a tool to encounter pain and how to deal with it. But because there's no discipline, we don't know what to do with pain anymore. We embrace it and it becomes a roadblock to our teachability. The last roadblock is the roadblock of pace. You know, your relationship with Jesus is not a sprint. Tell your neighbor, your life is not a sprint. It's a marathon. In order to run a marathon, you have to endure the sprint level. You can not give it at all the first 10 steps. It's a pace. And if you know anything about running, which obviously I don't very well, but there's something that when you're about to give up and you're at that point of exhaustion, if you just pace it through just a few more steps, you can get through it. And you'll be able to get farther and do greater distance over time through training. You know, one day you might go a block, and then you might go 2 blocks, and before you know it, a mile's easy. You're like, I'm not going to do a mile anymore, I'm going to do 2. And that's why a marathon can be accomplished, because you train yourself. You teach your body that life is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And this roadblock of pace is so hard for us to hold on to. But an out-of-control pace takes away teachability quicker than anything else. In other words, chaos, unplanned life, going with whatever happens, and you're just, I'm going to the next thing, the next conference, the next teaching, the next sermon, the next. You have a teachability problem. You have a pace problem. Without margins, you don't have the ability to grow. You know why on the side of the mountain, have you ever driven on a road that curves around mountains and oceans? They have these guardrails. They're pretty ugly, right? They're not there for looks, although they've gotten creative with them over time. They're there to keep you from falling off the cliff. So when you get distracted and doing your selfies and texting like you shouldn't, and you're getting ready to go off the mountain cliffs of your life, it protects you and holds you. It's designed to keep you safe. But when we're not careful, when we don't have these margins, we lose the ability to grow. See, Moses was surviving in Exodus 18. He was just every day getting up from sunrise to sundown, judging, instead of accomplishing all that he wanted to do because the pace was too much. Jethro said, man, you're going to have a heart attack if you keep this pace. It's not the Bible, my interpretation. And my father-in-law and my father, they tell me the same thing. What's your pace? You're not in a sprint. It's a marathon. You got to ask yourself today, is your pace killing your ability to be who God needs you to be? In other words, are you too busy for God? Take your schedule of paying the bills and working and family and friends and movie and life and the world, and then try to find time for Jesus, or put Jesus in and then let everything else pace around that. Ask yourself, do I have a roadblock of pace? You see, you got to understand this. In order to be teachable, write down this formula. This will be your teachability level. Desire to learn times willingness to change will give you your level of teachability. But first, you got to face these roadblocks. All right, the formula. Yes, the formula for the key to everything is this: desire to learn multiplied by the willingness to change equals your level of teachability. When I first came to Tampa, We were involved at the USF at the Baptist Collegiate Ministry there. And there was an 89-year-old on the front row every week taking notes. I'll never forget it. I'm like, this dude should be up front teaching. And he's taking my notes and this other guy's notes. There's something wrong with this picture, I thought. But today, I realized he had a key to everything. He had a teachable heart. At 89, experienced everything. He was still like, oh, that's a good word. Come on, that makes sense. Oh, yeah, let me write that down so I can teach it to somebody. And you would talk to him afterwards, and just this wise, godly man. He's like, man, I'm going to go teach that. That was good. You teach what I'm teaching? Shouldn't you be teaching me to teach others? You gotta think about that. You gotta think about what pace and what's your level of teachability. And what's your biggest roadblock today? Write it down. Is it the roadblock of pride that you need to deal with? For everyone in the room, it's going to be different. Maybe a roadblock of fear. Maybe your roadblock is rejection or losing control or being insecure of who you are. Maybe your roadblock's pain. Or maybe your roadblock is pace. But the key to everything is having a teachable heart. A teachable heart. If you want to be successful as a leader, as a husband, as a father, as a son, or as a daughter, ask your level of teachability. You have a desire to learn from God's word? Or is it just a book you go to when you're in trouble? How about you wake up and like, teach me something, God. I'm weary, I'm tired. I'm coming to learn from you, Jesus. Turn to Matthew 11:28. You have a desire to learn from others who've already fought wars you shouldn't have to fight, who already knew that they've done it wrong, so today they want to teach somebody. Every week we come here and we pour it into you. It's not so you hear another good message. You're like, check, I went to service. Check, I encountered Jesus. Yes, I paid my tithe. Yes. No, so you can learn something to teach somebody else afterwards. Teach somebody this message. Teach them, man. Teach them. Teach them God's truth. He is the only way, truth, and the life. You want the key to success in life is be teachable. Be like that 89-year-old who said, I haven't learned it all. Be humble and say, man, I'm going to go teach. Man, that's amazing. I don't remember his name, but I remember what he taught me. So no matter what season in life you're in, be teachable. Matthew 11:28. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. That learn from me used to stumble me all the time. You're like, I'm tired and rest. I'm not in a place where I want to learn. And then on top of that, I got to pick up this heavy yoke. Or take off my heavy yoke and take up his light yoke. Learn from him. I'm gentle and humble in heart. And find rest for your soul. My yoke is easy and my burden is light. But instead of taking this little verse, we hang on to pride. We hang on to the harbor of our fears, our insecurities. Hang on to pain. Oh, man, God, you hurt me. You weren't there for me. Or that person hurt me. Or that person betrayed me. Or we hang on to the pace of life because that's what the world tells us to do. And Jesus just said, if you're tired, learn that I'm humble, I'm gentle. I'll give you rest. You're probably all wondering why I'm wearing a key around my neck. I'm glad you asked. I'll conclude with this, that Louis Giga in the Passion Conference was teaching, and he asked someone in the audience, do you have one of those key giving necklaces. I'm like, what's that? And this young lady ran up front and she took it off her neck. She's like, yeah, here I do. And on it was engraved a word. I don't remember her word. But what someone has done is they've created a ministry out of used keys. They help impoverished people, homeless people, and people that are stricken and going through hunger and pain and hardships. And they've given them a purpose, and they say, take these keys and write words on them. Some of the keys say courage. It's called the Giving Key Ministry. You can look it up online. Read their story. Some of them say brave. Some of them say leap. Some of them say jump. Some of them say all kinds of stuff, addictions, all kinds of stuff. They're the giving key. And I was reminded of it yesterday when I saw Andrews. He was wearing one, and on his says courage. I said, give me your key. He's like, I'm not ready to give it away yet. I'm like, well, it's the whole point of the ministry is to give it away. He said, yes, but when I'm ready. When I'm done feeling like I have enough courage. The right person's going to come. I'm going to show him through scripture that God is my strength and my courage, and he's going to take it off and give it to the person who needs courage. It's the key to everything. And it really hit me a few weeks ago because I didn't make any sense until, I was preparing last night after doing all that I do on Saturday. And it reminded something he said 2 weeks ago that stood out. And a few weeks ago, he went to Texas to lead worship for a women's conference. I'm like, man, I'm proud of you. That's awesome. And then last week, he was in Trinity helping a church launch a new church. I just sent a text, said, so proud of you. What stood out to his response was, I'm just doing what you taught me to do. All need courage. We all need a giving key. I got to thinking, wow, I've impacted some generations already. I got one pastoring in Missouri. I got one leading worship in Fort Lauderdale. And I got another one running around the world doing what I call him to do. Yes, do I love him here? Yes. That's not what God has us doing here. He's having us create disciples that will be willing to go out and reach and teach and build others up. That's the vision. Not for me to hold them here in this little harbor and make me look good or make me shine and make this church a bigger church. No, it's to send them out. Some stay, some go, but it's with that purpose. And I wonder how many people that have taught me that I'm taking what they taught me, that I could go back and say, thanks for teaching me that. Thank you for teaching me not to give up. Thank you for teaching me to be a man of integrity. Thank you for teaching me to go out and share the gospel. When we have that mindset, we can go to Jesus and we can learn and we can take off all these roadblocks and say, here it is. I put it at the altar today. Whether it's pride, insecurities, pain, pace, or rejection. I can say, God, I choose today to be teachable so that I can teach someone else. I choose that in my stubborn heart, I want to have a desire to learn. And I want you to multiply that desire to learn, that it will be in me. It won't just be something that I go through, but I have that desire to learn and a willingness to change. That will be my level of teachability. Based on that, whatever level of teachability you are, You'll see God do great and mighty things. We stand your feet and bow your heads and close your eyes. God, I thank you for this word. I thank you that it's not of me, that it's been brewing for several months now. That you, Jesus, are the key to everything. But we have roadblocks, we have hindrances, we have things that keep us from doing the very purpose and the very thing that we were created to do. Today I want to come as the pastor of this church and say, Jesus, here I am, teach me. Even at 89, I pray I still have a teachable heart. And God, I give you permission every time I don't have a desire to learn, and every time I don't have a willingness to change, pray you correct me. Because the key to everything, like Jesus said, is to be a student, to learn from the best, to not settle for goodness, but take and go after the greatest thing. See, Jonathan chose to go through the thorns and the slippery slopes and face his enemy, his roadblock. He led his armor bearer. I thought the armor bearer was supposed to protect him, but he went in front and killed his armor bearer, came behind him and defeated his leader's enemies. So encouraging, so much fresh manna that I received this week. That the enemy may be taunting, all I have to do is start climbing. Perhaps, just perhaps, God will get some glory and honor for my willingness to be teachable. So as we open up this altar and we sing this last song called Pursue, it's my prayer as a pastor and as the worship team's been praying for you this week, that you would pursue Jesus above all things. That you would look at the throne of your heart and ask yourself this question: who's on? And if you say you need to remove yourself. Simply say, Jesus, here's my heart. I choose to step off the throne of my life. I'm ready to embrace change. I'm ready to lose control. I'm ready to face my fears and my rejections and my insecurities. I'm ready to humble myself before you and pray. And put you on the throne of my heart. And that's you in this room or watching online. I just simply want you to raise your hand on the count of 3. Say, Jesus, here's my throne of my heart. Teach me. I give you full authority to correct, to train, to teach, to rebuke me in any area of my life so that I can go forward and teach the greatness of Jesus Christ. That's you. Just 1, 2, 3. Lift up your hand. 1, 2, 3. Amen. Hallelujah. God bless you. God bless you. You say, Pastor, you don't understand the pain I'm dealing with. I know I don't. He does. But you don't know my insecurities. You're right, I don't. But he does. You don't know the pace, the responsibilities I have on my plate. You're right, I don't. He does. Take some humbleness. It's hard to recognize that maybe you've been prideful. Maybe you're using your position to do whatever you want under your little tree of shade and security. God says, put down the pride. Just be willing to learn again. Just be willing to change constantly. increase your teachability. Let me increase your platform. To go out to our world who's waiting for God's servants to say, teachable, mold me. Just clay, you're the potter hands of my life. Mold me, rebuke me, teach me, train me, so that someone will encounter the light and love of Jesus Christ. So if that's your prayer today, if that's your desire, as they sing this song, this altar will be open. Maybe you want to come and humble yourself. It says, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray, then I will hear their prayers. Then I will begin to heal their land. Maybe that's what it takes for us to humble ourselves and pray for our president, pray for our upcoming president, pray for our future. Maybe you have a loved one that's in pain. Maybe you have a loved one dealing with pride. Maybe yourself or someone else that God puts on your heart, you want to come pray. Come and pray. Come, church. Come to the Master, the teacher of all things. His name is Jesus. He wants to give you rest, light yoke, and a burden-free life. If you embrace it this morning, I invite you to come. Come, church, come.
Jesus, I surrender. Show me what I do. I'm desperate for your presence, longing to be with you. Lead me to a place. I'm pursuing you. What's up there to all my trust is in you, Lord. Now until forever, Jesus, I surrender. Show me what I don't know. More of you. I'm desperate for your presence, longing to be with you. Lead me to a new place. More of you. Now until forever, Jesus, I surrender. Show me what I don't know. More of you. Desperate for your presence, longing to be with you. Lead me to a new place. More of you. Lead me to you forever, Lord. I will pursue. I will pursue. You want my heart, Jesus. You're all that I want, all that I want. Lead me to you forever, Lord. I will pursue. I will pursue. You want my heart, Jesus. You're all that I want, all that I want. Lead me to you forever, Lord. I will pursue. I will pursue. You want my heart. You are that I want. All that I want. Forever, Lord, I will pursue. I will pursue. You want my heart. Jesus, you're all that I want. All that I want. All I need is you, Lord. It's you, Lord. All I need is you. All I need is you, Lord. It's you, Lord. All I need is you. All I need is you, Lord. It's you, Lord. All I need is you, Lord. All I need is you, Lord. You, Lord. All I need is you, Lord. It's you, Lord. Every single of your love, all of your love. Here I will be, just for the glance of your love. I wait for your love. We say that to you this morning. Just like you reminded us in Hebrews. We desire for us to lay aside everything that entangles, that hinders us, and the thing we so easily entangle. And let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. Fixing our eyes on Jesus, the author and
forsake your love, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne. So this morning we give you all our hindrances, to submit to you, Lord. We choose to pursue your love, pursue your calling. Lord, we ask that you remove all distractions and anything that would hinder us. We would learn to be like you. We thank you for that love. We thank you for the hope we have in you. Let us fix our eyes on you, Jesus. All we need is you. In Jesus' name.